And I am live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because I've said before on my radio streams, I keep doing it until it's no longer fun. I do it because it's fun for me. And if that means that I'm talking into the void and there's nobody there, fine. If it means that there's a full house, fine. But I'll keep doing it as long as I can. And part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble. You can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's Shujin. Hi. It's good to be back with you. And we've got a little bit of a thing at the moment, which is it's a thing. I'm currently joined by nobody, which is a little bit to be understood. Such happens. I know full well that Io was going to be out because she got herself a better gig. I don't know where the rest of everybody else is. There is the possibility of getting Joey back sometime in the near future. And I am not sure what happened to Tech. And of course, we know full well that timing is difficult for Brigid at times. But I haven't heard bad things going on with anybody, so we'll just go with the assumption that everybody's cool. And it's just that, timing just happens to work out that way. We'll see if anybody changes their mind and decides to come in and join us. But as always, however, if you would like to join us as we record, I'd love it. All you need to do is to join us over on the Discord channel. And, of course, we are recording live via Discord as well as on YouTube, really, where it's streaming. And if you do, you can be part of the contingent over there, which in this case is Stephanie. Hi. Good morning. Good to have you. Stephanie's found me over there on BlueSky in particular, and I am in the process of migrating my accounts, multiple accounts, from the hellhole that is Twitter, which I feel bad about that because it's been, 10 years for me over there? Such is, and I can't in good conscience use the services anymore. So I'm in the process of discontinuing my use over there and migrating all the follows that I've had over there over to BlueSky. And in the hopes, of course, that, I'll find pretty much everybody. At least that's what I'm hoping for. I'm not quite sure how that's going to play out. And I got the wrong graphic up, I just noticed. Be that as it may. And Stephanie is, I asked Stephanie before I went live, did you notice anything new about the postcard, the business card that I put over there in the corner? Unfortunately, there have been some changes over the couple of years. I've gotten rid of the phone number because I just let it expire because we don't use it. One of the few times that I ever did end up getting anything was a very nasty Grammy voicemail. I do have that saved somewhere because, of course, I do. But whoever you were, mystery voice out there in the void, way to go. Nice going there. No, as a matter of fact, I have gotten rid of the dead bird, and I've now respaced out the icons. So now we have YouTube, the RSS feed, Facebook, Discord, and BlueSky. Because it's kind of the way that it is. I will give everybody also the quick word as to how things have been going weather-wise over here at Casa del Tribble. You probably saw the news that the Western New York and Western Pennsylvania areas got hit pretty bad with lake effect snow. Fortunately, where I am, did not get hit nearly as hard as the prediction models said I should have. We were looking at what? I think the equivalent of about 30, 30 to 40 centimeters is what the prediction model said overnight. Um, I don't believe that I got any more than 30. Chances are it was, if I remember. See, the problem is I'm trying to change the do the conversion in my head really quickly. Um, the area that I'm in, according to the prediction model that I was looking at before we closed up shop, you know, kind of figuratively, realistically, we were looking at 18 inches, so about 50 centimeters. Yeah, yeah. If I remember the conversion right, roughly 50 centimeters, half a meter. And one of the guys that I was working with was saying that where he lives, they were already going into a state of emergency. So he was just gonna just he was gonna leave, and that's when things kind of got a little dicey, not happy. So he left early. The guy that started with me in the morning, he was going to be finishing his shift, because we're coming up on four in the afternoon, and I otherwise would have been there until 6. The guy that was supposed to, the guy that took off early, he was supposed to have been the closer. So when we saw where my domicile is located according to the prediction models, and we figured, yeah, probably safe than sorry, because I've had moments of trying to go up the hill. I don't know what the grade is on the hill that I go up, but I very much did not want to be trying to go up this grade. And even with a 2013 Honda CRV with four-wheel drive, four when needed, the idea of trying to go up the hill and having patches where I'm just using enough gas to keep myself from sliding backwards, that's not a happy moment. So I left early. The other guy left early. The last guy left on time. We closed up shop, and I felt really bad because I knew what kind of a shit show it was going to be overnight, with people just dumping stuff on the sidewalk, and there wasn't going to be anything I could do about it. So I felt really, really bad about that, and yeah, I've got a little bit of guilt on that part. Is what 'tis. But where I am, we didn't get hit particularly nasty hard. I currently have my car outside, started up with the heater blowing, partly to defrost as much as I can off of the windows, get the ice, gone, I hope. But more importantly, to get the battery, make sure that the battery is staying charged, because I need to do some soldering on the car charger that I've got, because the wires are looking a little not really happy. So I gotta see about that. So I figured safest thing to do was to start the car, let it run, and even if it runs for an hour, two, whatever, you know what, it'll heat up nice, and the battery will be happier come the morning, assuming that we can get out of here so that Tiny Triple can go back to college. So see how that plays out. And I got a notice a couple moments ago that fortunately I'm not entirely alone for tonight. So UnrenownedTech, you made it. Good morning.
Hi there. Good morning to you too.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that over there on the coast, you didn't have anything to worry about with storms and such the same way that I did.
Hi, Stephanie. Um, we have burr. Well, other people call it burr. I call it, normal. But I was raised by Arctic wolves, so
Which would explain the fur that you have on your face most of the time.
yeah, exactly.
Yep,
That's my main.
you're welcome. Yeah. So what you're looking at, like what, zero C?
I don't know. No, we're close to it though. We're at 26 Fahrenheit. I believe 0C is 23 Fahrenheit.
No, 0C is 32. Freezing
Oh,
point.
so we're sub-zero Celsius.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind. I God, you think I would remember 32 Fahrenheit is freezing because I love anything below that. Um, so if I go out on the lawn, you can see the grass is crystallized um, from the bit of moisture that we have in the air, but we don't actually have any snow. No, the worst thing that we'll have is any wet spots on the road have probably turned to ice down here, and so EMS and firefighters and such are probably busy tonight, especially since it's Thanksgiving weekend and they're stupid.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And I just looked it up. It's -3C right now out
okay.
here in the Buffalo market. So not so bad. If memory serves, yeah, by the way, I did make a couple of minor modifications to my setup. So if things look or sound a little bit weird or different
No, on my end through Discord, everything sounds and looks great.
yeah, there's not going to be any difference there. Over on the YouTube feed, I'm hoping everything looks and feels pretty much the same. Like I said, a couple of minor things that changed out.
Well, I have the YouTube feed muted, but from what I can see looking at the video, it looks fine.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, light reflections aside from your background lamp and your computer monitor,
Yeah.
which is normal, I don't see anything. And Stephanie's even saying YouTube looks fine.
Actually, I should tilt that down a little bit, but you know what? Is what it is. Anyway, yeah. So I'm trying something a little bit different, which is popping the Discord video into its own window and grabbing that so that I have the ability of like interacting on the host chat every once in a while, because otherwise I'd have everything screwed up. Is what it is. And before we get into the actual meat and potatoes of everything, if you'll pardon the expression, because this week it was turkey and gravy and stuffing, and we do need to do one other thing. Those of you that are just listening, you are missing out on one of the greatest mysteries of the winter.
The hat exchange. Ho, 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 bitch.
Yes. The Santa Pimp hat has come back out again, and it is my tradition immediately after Thanksgiving, not on, after, that I begin wearing the hat. It is, believe it or not, a really craptastic hat when all is said and done. I got it at a local store that has all kinds of party supplies and such. I just found it there. Kind of the same way that you'd go to this, party supply places and get a bunch of, well, those plastic green hats for March.
And you give me crap over my hat, my St. Patty's Day hat.
I do not.
Yes, you have. You have literally looked at the video feed where I was wearing it and went, Tech, no, just no. Because see, folks, it's not the style of hat that Shujin is wearing. Okay, my hat is actually a bowler hat, right? And it's green felt with a green band. Okay.
Yep.
And I think it looks great when I wear it to work on St. Patty's Day on the days that it's not on a weekend. I get nothing but compliments, and no, they're not just being nice because people I work with are unfiltered. But you know, I get crap over it from this guy.
Because
now, to be
fun.
fair,
To be fair,
he does look pimping in the hat.
Yes.
Yeah.
This
so he's got that going for him.
Even though this is a crappy, it's not felt and fabric and whatnot. It's
a low cost.
That's a good way. It's a good way to put it. But
yes.
it has survived many years that I've had it. Many years, and this is in design a proper fedora. It is not a goddamned trilby. There is a difference, and I know what the difference is, the same way that I know that what I sport around my face is not... It's not a goatee. It is a Van Dyke, you uninspired hacks. A goatee is separated between mustache and chin. A Van Dyke, which is what I have, is all one big grouping of fur.
And speaking of hats, one of the things that I really like about your hat
Hmm.
is that rather than trying to put bells on it or the other Christmas stuff, they went with the mistletoe.
Yep.
And I think that adds some good character rather than making it on a trashy level.
And
So
I love that.
even though it might be a low cost hat, whoever put the thought into making it actually put some thought into it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because the majority of it looks like it's red velvet, a bright red velvet, and a white fur, not quite fur because it's very, very low pile, white strap around the base of it. And yeah, the mistletoe is on the side, the same way that you'd have like a, what was it usually, like feathers or something? Small feather?
My one of my grandfathers wore um, a fedora, not a trilby, and his had a feather sticking out of it.
Yeah.
It was a small feather. It wasn't sticking up like, like Robin Hood kind of shit.
It wasn't a zoot suit kind of looking guy.
Yeah, no.
I would.
He was a classic fedora and pipe dude.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So let's get everything rolling because it's been long enough. Let me go ahead and do that then. So with 5 minutes on the clock, your 5-minute freestyle is going to start right now. Finally. Oh, and my video is all kinds of screwed up. I never straightened that out. That's okay. I'll just do it from over here. Finally. He's dead. He's dead. It took a very long time for it to happen, but old age finally caught up with him. And such happens. Every living thing dies. It's just a question of when. Do I take great pleasure in this? No. No, because I don't relish the idea of anyone's life coming to an end. It's what you do with it in the meantime that counts. And mother, did he ever do stuff with his life. He's known for a lot of things that he did. Some things were, to put it mildly, quite notable and very long-termy disruptive for various regions of the world. A lot of regions of the world. And he was quite the force in the political scene for a large number of years, which comes as something of an annoyance to those of us that don't believe the same way that he did. Now, am I going to name names? No, because it could be about almost anyone. There are, of course, certain people that it might seem like that would be accurate for, but there are notable people right now that I know full well that it doesn't. For all you know, it could be somebody that I had direct connection with. Maybe not, but maybe. Could be somebody that was in the newspapers at one time, at least, for one particular photo, at least. Or not. Could be somebody that I've had to call the police on. Or not. So it comes down to who am I talking about or describing? Is it anybody of particular note? Yeah, probably. Am I going to name who it is or wish harm upon them? No and no. Because I As much as I think it's a bullshit call, I don't believe in the concept of desecrating a corpse. I don't know that that's even a thing that can really be done, but what do I know? I'm not a lawyer. Don't take podcast advice from a lawyer. But it took a long, long time for entropy to finally catch up. A lot longer than a lot of people thought should have. And I know that there are a large number of areas of the world that would probably be celebrating were they not looking to bottle up their own piss to airdrop onto his coffin. Like I said, am I going to name names? No. No. Because chances are, if you've got any cluing on it, you already know. And if you don't, you might be curious enough to kind of cross-reference recent passings with the date of the recording of this show and kind of figure it out for yourself. Or not, as the case may be. I don't know what to say on this. I really don't. There's a lot that's swirling around in my head of what I would like to say. And I need to remind myself that there are certain things that I shouldn't get away with saying. I shouldn't let get past the filter. So I guess I'll just leave it with this. At this point in the week, the world has become a better place. Maybe by just 1/8 billionth, but a better place nonetheless. And I, for one, am fine with that. Because even one little bit better is still better. I think that pretty well sums it up. Tech, I'm pretty sure you know who I'm not talking about.
Yeah, I do, and I won't mention names.
Yeah. So
Yep.
it's fair to say that entropy eventually catches up to us all, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there was actually an anime. I forget what it was called. I think it was it was something Paladin. I think like the Faraway Paladin or something like that. But basically, a guy becomes a champion for um, the whole system of life, rebirth, life, death, and rebirth that exists in that anime, rather than living a stagnant life under death's rule as like a zombie or whatever. So he becomes a paladin for that deity, which a lot of people aren't praying to. They're praying to like the war deity or whatever that a lot of these animes have. And the approach in the series um, emphasizes how it's important to understand that all things that live have to die. It's part of the circle of life, and that this is not a bad thing. It's just how life works. And I agree with that kind of method. That life is an ever on. I'm in agreement with George Carlin. Life doesn't begin at one point and stop at another. It's an ongoing cycle. You know, that which is born eventually, hopefully, gives birth to something else before it goes. And that's how our genetics work. The urge to procreate, to produce children, to ongo our genetics into the life after us, the next generation. And I agree with that. You get to impart your wisdom, what you've learned, the mistakes you've made, and hopefully that child picks up on that and does better than and improves the world that we live in.
Yeah, that'll go.
Mhm.
So at
I
this
know it's
point,
long-winded. I've had coffee. I'm sorry.
nothing wrong with that. So let's go ahead and get on over to the horrible scopes because we had an interesting encounter this particular week. I put the picture over in the picture repository for us over there in our Discord. That I had an interaction with the nice guys over there at Heart of the Game, Fredonia, and I'll
Yeah,
tell you about that in just a couple of seconds.
that was cool, by the way.
So for those of you that know what your astrological sign is, cool. And if you don't, you can get in touch with, like I said, the guys that still like us over there at Heart of the Game, Fredonia. They'll sell you one of those cool D12s with the little squiggles and whatnot on them, and you can figure it out for yourself or not, as the case may be. That's Heart of the Game, Fredonia. Hail, hail, Fredonia, home of the Blue Devil. They are the group that have the um, mimic in the window, or at least they're supposed to. Now, regarding that,
Unless it is the window.
that's now see that in and of itself is the problem. You see, so the interaction I had with them, because they posted over on Facebook earlier today and said we will not be opening up the store today. Please stay indoors and ride this out. Our sales and specials, however, will not expire until at least December 8th to give you all a safe time frame in which to swing in and check them out. Thank you all so much and have a warm indoors day. I commented, please stay safe out there, guys. Hopefully the horrible scopes will keep you warm, which, by the way, prompted this question. How do you know the mimic in the window isn't actually the window? Cheers. Their answer, for everyone's safety, I keep him well fed. That way I don't have to worry about which form he takes. Bravo, sir. Bravo. And come to think of it, I need to put that into the HCTV picture repository because I did not do that. I put it into my personal, which means I need to fix that. I'll see about that later. Now, since this edition of the Horrible Scopes will be releasing next week, of course, on Krampusnacht, it seems only right that we fill you all in on the various pieces of lore regarding what can only be described as Bizarro Santa. So buckle up, everyone, and get ready to earn your release from the Christmas Krampus. Aries, let's have you start out with who we're talking about. The Krampus is a half-goat, half-demon horned monster who, in Central and Eastern Alpine folkloric tradition, by the way, I said the word correctly twice in a row, so I'm going good, accompanies St. Nicholas on the night of 5 December, known as Krampusnacht or Krampus Night. It's the night before the feast of St. Nicholas, on which St. Nicholas rewards well-behaved children with small gifts, while the Krampus punishes badly behaved ones with birch rods. So this week, he knows if you've been bad or good. So stop trying to ask for forgiveness at the 11th hour. You had all year to be good. This is all on you now.
So I highlighted the word that I'm struggling to. Is that struggle LA?
I am not seeing it. Hold on a second. I need to reopen it differently.
The one that's the one after Perkton or Perchton.
I won't this.
Just look at Taurus. It's the third sentence down.
No. Hold on a second.
3/4 to the right.
The problem I've got is trying to have the right access because I've got different. That's why I had it opened in the wrong piece. I since you don't have edit access, whatever you're highlighting, I can't see.
Oh, okay. Well, it's the third sentence down to the right. There's Perkton or that one. Stragele?
Sure.
Stragele?
Stragale.
Stragale. Okay,
sure, I'll go with that because I don't even know.
Gotcha. Taurus, as to where he came from, well, some folklorists and anthropologists have postulated that he may have pre-Christian origins. He's likely been inspired by other mythical creatures, such as the Perchten or Stragel, though there are no written sources before the end of the 16th century. So this week, you don't even know what the Perchten or Stragel are, do you? So if you don't know what they look like, how do you expect to spot the Krampus when he's out in public? Do yourself a favor, visit a library, and ask for help looking for these figures up. Ask for help looking these figures up. And once you have those images to work from, consider making a fursuit of them. You might get to be in a parade.
Yeah, I think it's super cool that they actually do have a Krampusnacht parade of people dressed up in various forms of the Krampus. As
Oh yeah.
cool as hell.
It also depends on where in the world you'll see some really grim stuff.
Funny you should say that. We'll get around to that right about now, Gemini. Instead of the visuals, we're seeing how good your translations are. Krampus is thought to come from either the Bavarian term Krampen, meaning dead or rotten, or maybe from the German term Kramp or Krampen, meaning claw, which, of course, is just the perfect level of freaky for the area of the world where the Brothers Grimm stories would eventually hail from. So this week, remember that so many of the Disney animated classics like Cinderella, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and Sleeping Beauty were all part of the Grimm's fairy tale collection and weren't even new when the brothers collected them for their book. When you have to deal with the Krampus, try mocking him for being derivative as a way of fighting him. It probably won't help, but you'll at least have tried, right?
And on the topic of the Brothers Grimm, um, it's either on Netflix or Hulu, but there's an animation series. I think it's like 8 or 10 stories long. It's retelling of those stories with a slightly different twist, but it still keeps the same grim fairy tale darkness to them. And me and my other significant other, they were fantastic, man. Cancer Moonchild, let's give you more information on what he looks like, because we're pretty sure you're going to say, thanks, I hate it. Historically, Krampus is usually featured as a man with horns and mismatched feet, one a grotesque human foot, and the other being the hoof of a goat. He'll typically be covered in black hair with a very long snake or dragon like tongue. So this week, we know what some of you are thinking right now, and no, bad cancer. Stop being like that. You can expect to be visited by the Krampus for that.
I'm sure I have absolutely no idea what that's all about.
Yeah, I think when it got to dragon tongue, cancer started having dirty thoughts.
Probably just bad dragon thoughts. Leo, how about we give you the existential question of why the Krampus even exists? In the 17th century, St. Nicholas, because he's a saint, it wasn't deemed saintly behavior for Nicholas to deliver punishment. So he needed a helper, a henchman, so to speak. I'd have otherwise said goon squad member, but these days you really can't use that term anymore. For good reason. So a helper tryout was put into place. Farmhand Rupert turned out to be a softy, giving gifts instead of punishment. Smutzli usually walks with St. Nicholas, waiting to be told which children need to be punished, but he too has gotten soft in his old age. So this week, Krampus served St. Nicholas in the same role, but is actually good at his job. So take a hint from this. If little kids need to be spooked to be better people, then maybe their parents are the ones who deserve it more.
Virgo, look, not everyone appreciated the Krampus visits over the years. For instance, in the 1930s, it was outlawed in Austria. Heck, in the 1950s, pamphlets were distributed saying Krampus is an evil man. and that he'd hurt children's mental health. Turns out the joke's on them because in later years there's been a resurgence to enjoy the seasonal Krampus visits in good spirits. So this week, think of it this way. Instead of mocking him when he visits you, try yelling, trick or treat, and see if that stops him. We don't know if it'll really work, but hey, that's what scientific investigation is all about, right?
I mean, it's either that or you put it up to the Mythbusters and ask them to try it out or blow something
I
up or whatever.
mean, Krampus wasn't really evil. He was just doing the job that he was supposed to do, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Libra,
that's my take.
look, all the Krampus supposed looks have been pretty inconsistent throughout the years. So, for instance, in some depictions, he carries chains, which he thrashes for dramatic effect, and in some of those, the chains have bells of various sizes attached. And in yet others, he carries a bundle of birch branches to swat children with. But there are others where the branches are replaced with a whip. Oh, it gets worse. On Christmas Eve, Krampus travels with St. Nick carrying his own sack to cart off evil children for drowning, eating, or transport to hell. So this week, think about that. These are children's stories, and the families have endorsed exposing these children to it. So if you want to make kids like something, make it just a little bit scary. They'll love it later for exactly that reason.
Yeah, they'll be laughing over it with their therapist. Scorpio, speaking of the event itself, on Krampusnacht, the wicked, hairy devil appears on the streets, sometimes accompanying St. Nicholas, and visits homes and businesses looking for naughty children, while Nicholas concerns himself only with the good children. Why are naughty children working in businesses? Wouldn't that make the adults naughty? Anyway, I, so this week, you know what the Krampus gives out to children if he can't abduct them? Coal. So remember, just because someone's not a nice person doesn't mean they deserve to be cold this winter. Help people out when you can, and maybe he'll pass over your soul too.
Sagittarius, you think you can fend off Krampus when he comes for you? Sure, you're welcome to try what we suggested already, but if you want to try something more traditional, offer him some schnapps. So this week, maybe try staying home, locking the doors and windows, and drinking the schnapps all by yourself. If you don't see a Krampus at the bottom of the bottle, then you've done well.
They really offered schnapps up to keep Krampus away.
Uh,
Interesting.
it was a bribe to have him pass over them.
I've been horrible. Here, have a bribe. Yeah,
Hey,
great.
it works. It works for Passover.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Capricorn, in some Austrian areas, families with children might be gifted the root. Twigs that are painted gold and displayed year-round in the house. They're a year-round reminder to any child who has temporarily forgotten Krampus. So this week, you think you've got some underlying childhood trauma? Yeah, no kidding. We've been trying to tell you that for years. Go have a long chat with yourself and figure it out.
That's what I'm saying. Figure it out. That's a Letterkenny reference for anybody that's Aquarius. It's possible you'll be sent a more risque version of the Krampus via postcard, and you better take it in stride. There are naughtier versions of his depiction, but in how he's dressed and having taken up chasing attractive adults instead. So this week, don't be upset if the Krampus doesn't come chasing after you. It doesn't mean you're not attractive. It's just that you don't speak German.
And for his fellow fish Pisces, normally we wouldn't suggest such a blatantly incorrect depiction of the Krampus for you to peruse, but this time it just kinda works. In 2015, there was a Christmas themed dark humor horror movie called Krampus. I saw it, it was fantastic. And it's actually a fun romp. You might not like horror, but this one's kind of on par with Ash versus the Evil Dead. Also really good.
Mm-hmm.
There's some jump scares, of course, but there's an actual followable plot and reason for why he's stalking the family in it. So this week, look, you're either going to watch that movie or the 2000 film How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey. Everyone will want to watch that one. So put on the Krampus movie just for yourself. It'll be the worst. Rented lips. It'll be worth the price of the popcorn popper. It'll also be worth it if you have little kids in the room and see the priceless looks on their faces.
It really was. It really was a fun movie. I'm not one for horror, so
See, I love horror movies, but when I watch a horror movie and they've done the plot very poorly, I'm just not happy.
yeah.
I would rather have a poorly rendered, animated, makeup, whatever movie that has a fantastic plot line, right? Than the opposite of that. In that 2015 movie, Krampus did a great job.
Yes, it did. Yeah, like I was saying, I don't like horror movies. I don't like. I just don't, because the blood and gore and guts. It it doesn't work for me. This, however, was it was foisted upon me by good friends who love horror stuff, and they're just like, you know what, you're gonna like this. I'm like, all right. I mean, I love Evil Dead, Ash versus the Evil Dead. I love that because it is absolutely camp. This wasn't exactly camp. It had a little bit of camp to it, but it was also like, huh, this actually makes sense. All right, I'm on board.
Yep. In fact, there's a 2011 horror movie called Cabin in the Woods, and I thought it was. I mean, this it's got some big names in there like Chris Hemsworth, Fudge, Chris Hemsworth, and a whole bunch of other ones. I believe Sigourney Weaver's in there as well. But it was produced by Josh Whedon. He did a It was directed by Drew Goddard, and it was really, really good. The storyline had twists in it. Like I watch a lot of horror movies. I was not expecting the ending of the movie, and it wasn't gory for gory's sake. It was gory for ironic humor, iconic dark humor, and it. There was one point where there was a gory scene, and everybody was just laughing their asses off. So, it's I, there's just certain movies where, um, like my significant other does not like horror movies. I had them watch this one with me. They did not have nightmares.
Cool.
That's how funny of a horror movie it was.
That's really cool.
No, yeah.
So those are your horrible scopes for this week. If you like what you got, say hi to the Krampus for us in German, preferably. And of course, if you want a nicer or naughtier one for yourself or somebody else for next week, you can always bribe me by asking, or literally bribe me over at the coffee page, coffee.com/Icarus of the Lunar Guard. I'll have these posted online at the end of the week. Tumblr, Facebook, Discord, BlueSky. Might notice that there is a certain grouping left out of that collection, and with good reason. As I mentioned, I am in the process of transferring pretty much all of my accounts that were otherwise on the Dead Bird to the bluer skies. So this weekend is the last that I will be posting on the Dead Bird. I will be migrating all of my follows to different accounts, and that's just kind of the way it's going to be. Oh well. This is episode 518 on the docket, Your Honor, the post-Calorie-Coma edition. Now, yeah, I could have done this after Canadian Thanksgiving. Probably should have also, but, you know, come to think of it, this week I was really having a real struggle with trying to figure out what to talk about that wasn't going to get us into trouble. So I figured it's been a little bit since last I threw open the curtain and just said, okay, toss whatever you want out here. Drop a flashbang for us and we'll talk about it. So that's pretty much where it's going to be right now. It's been a tough week. Brain is very aerodynamically smooth. So we figure it out from here. I
just realized something. If you write the word killed in chat, it will nix your post. I was posting a joke, and the second half of the joke that contains the punchline wouldn't post. It posted on my screen, but I'm watching the video. So I had to write the word slaughtered with a $sign.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, this stuff is no wonder they say stuff like, keyword, different words like unalived, which is not necessarily a real word, but it has become one.
Yeah.
Yeah, learn new things every day with YouTube. My goodness.
Yep. I'm going to link to a. Actually, wait a minute. I should download the picture and put it into. Then onto the desktop, and then I will post that.
What, the joke?
No. I'm going to put a picture over in the repository over in Discord, so you guys can take a look at this. So little something that we did, the kid and I. I should probably change the name of that.
What, the picture repository? I don't know. That kind of
No.
Self-explanatory.
No.
I know. I was being a smart aleck.
And you are. So there we go.
Oh, the bottles. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how I can put the picture on the screen for everybody to take. Actually, wait a minute. There is a way to do that. Let me do that also on the screen. I
love the fact that it looks like the bottles are slumped. Like if you're not familiar, slumping is a process whereby you take a bottle or some other kind of glass product and you put it in a glass kiln and you just let the weight of it slump. A lot of people use molds and stuff that it will slump over. Yeah, it's showing up in YouTube now.
Yep. So
it kind of looks like somebody allowed the bottles to slump over and then just buttress the two of them together.
Yeah, there we go. I'll just kind of lead over this side a little bit out of the frame. So over on YouTube, you'll see a picture that I took. God, it turns out it's like 15 years ago, of this bottle, which is a 50-50 bottle. One side of it is orange, the other is green. It is Benedictine and Dom. B&B and Dom. I don't remember what it's supposed to have in it. But when my grandmother in Brooklyn passed a number of years ago now, there were a handful of items that I wanted from the co-op. This bottle in particular was one of them. Also, believe it or not, of all things that had sentimental value for me that I wanted to keep was her colander. So I have her colander. But this bottle, we had a little bit of a thing trying to figure out exactly what it was or when it was made. And I thought it was apparently earlier than what it was. But the kiddo wanted to go ahead and have some, which, you know what, it's fine. So he did a little bit of Google foo. It appears that it was probably made sometime in the mid 70s, possibly earlier. Benedictine and brandy. You found the info.
Yeah, I found it on wineanthology.com. Apparently a barman came up with the idea of this back in the 1930s, where you mix brandy with Benedictine liquor.
Mm-hmm.
And so one bottle, one of those two bottles is Benedictine, and the other one is brandy.
Yep. So the green side was apparently Benedictine because that was liqueur, very, very, very noticeably so. So we were both trying to figure out, well, how do you figure out if this stuff is still good? And the first answers that were coming up were, well, if you open the bottle and you check out the stuff, I'm paraphrasing here. If it doesn't look the way that it's supposed to, or it doesn't smell the way that it's supposed to, and it doesn't taste the way that it's supposed to, then it's probably gone bad. Meanwhile, we're just looking at this answer and going, but if you don't know what that's supposed to be, how the hell are you supposed to judge it? So I took the metal collar off of the neck. I ripped open the paper; it was just above it, and I found a plastic cap on the cork underneath. And I was figuring it was supposed to be a nice, easy way for you to be able to, grip the cork and twist it and remove it. So I gave it a little twist. The cork disassociated from the pieces that made it up, and the little plastic cap just came off with pieces of flaked off cork with it. And at this point, we're just like, oh, this doesn't bode well. This doesn't bode well at all. So I got my little manual corkscrew and tried to twist it in there carefully. It was going into the cork so easily that I could just use my little finger and turn it. It had like no resistance whatsoever. So instead of removing the cork, I basically bored a hole through the center of it because it just fell apart that much. And a couple of pieces of paper coffee filters and a tall glass, and poured it in and filtered it out. And we tried it. And it was still good. It was actually good. The little one even figured out, okay, so here's what you do, Dad. You inhale, hold your breath, take the drink, keep it in your mouth, swallow, and then immediately exhale. You don't have all that burn in the back of your throat. Kid's brilliant, man. He was right. It tasted good. There are no ill effects afterwards, but holy hell, did that hit me hard. And we did that with Thanksgiving dinner. So thanks,
What's
Grandma.
interesting is some of the things that I'm finding online. Instead of being separated into two parts, they're now pre-mixed together.
Yep, I've seen those bottles, and it's kind of disappointing because it looks very similar in the bottle shape, but there's something special about this bottle to me, man.
And you also have to be careful. I'm seeing somewhere instead of brandy, they're using cognac instead. Yeah,
That's weird.
that is weird. But I mean, then again, based on taste, some people might like the flavor of cognac with Benedictine better than they like it with brandy and Benedictine.
No,
I
it's fine.
mean, acquired tastes and all that, personal taste and all that. But yeah, on the topic of the process that you're going through with about holding your breath and everything else, um, there's some liquors that do have rituals. Like um, for example, one ritual involves vodka, and one of the rituals is you chill a vodka to a specific temperature. You have a tall, straight shot glass, so the walls are straight up and down. They're vertical, not whatever.
Okay.
and you pour it into your mouth, hold it in your mouth real quick, take a fresh slice of cut, I believe it's a white onion, but it might be a yellow onion, but it's onion, and it's definitely not red onion. You're not
Okay.
looking for a sweet onion. And you hold the onion under your nose and you breathe in the scent of the onion as you swallow the vodka. Yes. There's a lot of different rituals based on depending on what effect you want out of what kind of alcohol. Like you would never do that onion routine with a cognac.
No.
No,
Or wine in general, I would expect.
probably not in any wine. But vodka's a different. It's a different thing of its own, and it may also be dependent upon what the vodka is made out of, because not all vodkas are potato grain.
Fair enough.
So it's really interesting. I love when somebody will invite me in to experience um, a ritual behind a particular alcohol, because it demonstrates part of the culture behind it, and it tells you something about the people. And it's very interesting. It's like Richard Feynman once pointed out when in one of his books when he was a little kid, and he was talking to his father that some kid pointed out the name of the bird, and multiple knew the name of the bird, whatever, and he didn't know it. And his father told him how to say the name of one particular type of bird in multiple languages, and he goes, "You can know all those things and still know nothing about the bird. What you know about is the people who gave that name to the bird. It tells you about them. It doesn't tell you anything about the bird."
Wow. Wow, that's significantly profound.
Oh, it was first time. Um, it was in. I think it was called "Surely You Must Be Joking, Mr. Feynman."
Yep, that's the name of the book.
Yeah, surely you must be joking, Mr. Surely you must be joking, Mr. Feynman. Um, and not only did I read the paper version of it, I enjoyed it so much I ended up getting the Audible version of it and listened to it in the car. And the Audible version of it was fantastic as well.
Very cool.
Oh yeah. Um, I it was really, there are books out there that I wish people would read. That's one of them, because it doesn't try to teach you about science. It's collective stories that it's a collective works of stories he told his friends and acquaintances and significant people in life, that about things that occurred in his life, and it was put together into a compilation. So it starts off his early life, then later years, and so on all the way down. And um, like how the first time he went for recruitment uh, for the war, how they kind of gave him a mental, no, this guy's not mentally sound mark on his paperwork, because the guy who was asking the interview questions wasn't paying attention to him. He was just pencil whipping his answers. And so when another doctor asked him about these answers, and he gave the context behind the answers and such, the guy went, "Yeah, you're mentally fine."
I love it when that happens.
Mhm. Like here's an example. Um, the first doctor asked him, "Do you hear people talking about you?" And he said, "Yeah," because there were people in the other room talking about him in the waiting room. So he's like, "Do you?" It was basically they were trying to figure out whether or not he heard voices in his head, and the answer to that was no. You know, but that's not how they asked the question.
No, no, it's not.
Yeah. So his book, even though it doesn't try to teach science, it does teach us about people through his interactions with them. And it's a very profound book.
Smart guy.
Hmm.
So to finish the whole thing with the booze, um,
Oh, sorry.
no, that's all right. Um, I had no idea if that was going to be good or bad anymore. And you know what? It didn't really much matter one way or the other. It's it's a little something for my grandma. And I miss my grandparents a lot. I'm really glad that we were able to have that. There is still one bottle of stuff left. Again, I don't know if it's still going to be good after all these years, but when the time is right, we'll pop it open. If it's good, great. And if it's not, we'll have a really cool looking bottle to have, that's all. And matter of fact, kids actually thinking about bringing that bottle back to school because it's cool decoration. Which, I mean, admittedly, it is. It's
That's
really
an art piece. In my opinion,
yeah.
that is a beautiful piece of art. Even if there's nothing in it, you show that to an art major, somebody who works with glass and such, and they would probably have a very deep appreciation for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would hope so. And I'm really happy with how that photo came out. I was kind of screwing around with the relatively new to me digital SLR camera, and wow, some things come out really, really good. Other things, you know what? I will never get rid of my 35 mil. I may not use it, but I will not get rid of it.
Well, if you've got a digital SLR and you're experimenting with all the settings and such,
Well, I was.
right, unless it has one built in, which many don't, I recommend if you have a camera shop nearby to pick up what's called a light meter. It's just a little box you hold in your hand, typically has a shutter if you want to do diffusion, and you point it at the object that you're trying to take a picture of from a few different angles and get some of the light readings. So if you're doing a lot of the manual settings, you can work with that to get a much better understanding of where your settings should really be, depending on the results that you're looking for. Try, my grandfather taught me when he found out I had an interest in photography when I was very young, and I still have that light meter, and it's older than dirt, runs on the 9 volt, and man, that thing's great.
To
It's also analog, man. It has an analog meter on it. It doesn't even do digital stuff.
yeah, the 35 mil that I have is an old Minolta. For anybody that knows about it, it's the SRT 101. It has a built-in light meter that, so long as you've got battery to it, you just press the shutter halfway down, and everything just starts to jump into place to let you know where everything is on the sides and on the bottom, so you can adjust everything. But because of that, I kind of learned how to do it. Just I got used to looking at and figuring it out. Not
You see, my old Yashica had was not a battery operated camera. It was an old camera. And the name alone should tell you that it's old for people who are camera enthusiasts.
yeah,
And but it did have a button cell battery in it. And what that was for the built-in light meter, which was a separate button,
yep,
and it just had a gauge with a very narrow green margin. And so if you went one way, it was too exposed, and if you went the other, it was too little exposure. But it didn't tell you any kind of numbers. It was like the poor man's gauge. You just wanted it in the green if you wanted to ensure that you had a crisp, clear in terms of your light source,
yep,
or lighting of it. But it didn't give you any, unless you spent a lot of time and went through a lot of film. There was no real way to gauge the other ones. So that's when he got me a light meter and said, you need to rely on this one with the numbers and everything else and do the math rather than rely on that.
yeah,
One of the best lessons he ever taught me about photography.
yeah. And I think that's one of the things that I really do admire with digital SLRs, because if you do run partly manual or even full manual, especially, you get instant feedback. And that's something that we, as people that came up through the analog film era, man, no, you couldn't do that. It was, it was a week turnaround for you to get your film developed. So being able to get instant feedback now of what's actually happening when you set your ISO and then you set your aperture and then set your duration and then take the picture and, oh, yeah, I can't rely on that one because I flinched. I can see that now. All right, let's delete that and start again.
Now, some of the cell phones, like some of the newer model Samsungs, like the S23 and the S24,
Hmm.
Samsung has a software on there that has a pro version, pro setting, where you can manipulate all the little settings, and you see an instant response in the video on the phone before you take the picture.
Nice.
And I mean, in the pro form, you can even take in raw format. So if you're one of those professional photographers who also does a whole lot of video or photo editing, that raw format's really important. So you get the one with a lot of storage too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was surprised when I got my phone how many settings I could adjust on mine, and I was doing things with it that people were going, "How'd you do that?" And I said, "Well, first off, I have a very small background in photography, so I know what these settings are. And two, I used to do this with a manual camera. So doing it digitally is just believe it or not, it's slower. With a manual camera, you've got all the dials and such right there, you know? And once you get the muscle memory down of where they are, it's just a matter of sliding your hand forward, backwards, left, right, whatever. But with these phones, you have to tap each one, go in, adjust it, tap to the next one, adjust that, tap to the next one. It's like, dude, there is so much screen real estate. You could put multiple of these settings all over the place and make it really easy for me to do all the things without having to toggle everything. Sorry, pet.
Well, you got to remember also that with what we call phones, which are basically tiny mini computers. I mean, it's
Yeah, I
exactly what
call
they
them
are.
computers that can make phone calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The entire control surface is just flat. There
Mhm.
is no real control surface the way that we otherwise would have. So, yeah, you kind of are going to be stuck with all that until and unless somebody actually sets it up where you've got a way of getting to all of those items simultaneously with ease of a thumb or two. But even then, you can't
I
get the
mean,
same
there
feedback.
there are some things you can do. Like there are some Bluetooth devices that clip onto phones and such
Sure.
for iPhone and Samsung that allow you to get to some settings at the toggle of a switch. I know with the Samsung Ultra models for the S23 and S24, there's a stylus, and believe it or not, they have motions.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you tap the button, or you double tap the button, or you wave it like a magic, you wave it like a magic wand, and it'll do things like zoom in, zoom out, change the type of lens it's using, and so on. But it doesn't do everything. There's only so much you can get these things to do without having to touch the screen.
Yep. And item last on this whole thing. Um, you know full well that a lot of storage at this point would be using. We do it this way: the micro SD cards, or even just regular full size SD cards, which you can do that. My camera is these compact flash, baby.
Hmm.
I've still got.
There's actually still cameras that use those.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
they're reliable. They put up with a lot of bullshit.
oh yes.
Yeah, they're pretty darn durable. In fact, there used to be, I don't know if they still make them or not anymore, but there used to be versions of those compact flash where they actually had a built-in Wi-Fi antenna.
Yep.
And so for the people who aren't aware, you could take a picture, and the card, once the picture was saved to card, that Wi-Fi would send it to your laptop.
Yep.
Yeah,
You had to do a
because
little higgity jiggity to make it work sometimes, but yeah.
yeah, but I mean, this was before those compact flashes were in the gigabyte ranges.
Oh, you mean like the two of them that I've got that are 8 gigs and the one that's 2 gigs?
No, more like the one that was a half gig.
Oh, you mean like this one over
The
here?
blue one. Yep.
Yeah, I got a
Yeah.
couple of
There were
those.
ones that were there were ones that were like 128 megabyte, 256 megabyte, 512 megabyte, and Wi-Fi enabled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why yes, I'm showing it again, and yes, it is still backwards. Where I've got these two that are 8 gig, I have one that's 2 gigs, and I have currently three that I've got. Well, I've got one in the case over here, which, by the way, this great case, and two of them just on my tabletop over here at 512. The 8 gigs, let me tell you, I could just shoot and shoot all day on those. And the camera that I had, you wanted to shoot RAW, you wanted to shoot RAW with JPEG in one of 3 different versions. You wanted to shoot just JPEG in one of those 3 versions. Let me tell you something, man. You shot in JPEG, highest resolution JPEG with an 8 gig card in that thing. Oh, baby, you will run out of battery power before you run out of storage. My God,
Yeah.
it's absolutely amazing.
In my retail years, hands down, my favorite department was definitely photography, because I knew the things about the cameras. We had them on display. They were functional. They had, cheap memory cards in them, or onboard memory, so no memory card in them. And I used to get to show the customers how they worked and such. And I always had a nice, wide, diverse range of customers. The person that just wants to get the family vacation photos, and then you have the other ones come in who were like, "Don't show me that little tiny Canon in the pocket Canon. I want the one with the replaceable lenses. I need to do this. I need to do that." It's like, okay, you got your tripod. Yeah, but it's showing signs of age. It's like, okay, well, we have these over here, but these are friction based, whereas these lock in. You probably want the ones that lock in, especially if you're going to be jostled around, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I used to have a great time, you know, and I could cater my sales based upon what the person need. I didn't sell them anything they didn't need, because that means they wouldn't come back and they wouldn't trust me anymore.
That's right.
And I used to have customers come back and go, "Thank you so much. I did this or that, and the photos came out great, and I took the advice you told me, and this and that." And management used to come over and go, "How'd you do that?" I said,
I know
"Didn't
my
sell
stuff.
them the I used to do photography, and I didn't sell them anything they didn't need."
Yeah.
Right.
See,
Yeah.
it's amazing when you know your shit, man. You make things work right.
It's why I miss the Radio Shacks with the ham radio enthusiasts behind the counter and such.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't a ham radio enthusiast, but I was definitely I enjoyed portable audio and good headsets and such. And yeah, I know you're the ham radio enthusiast.
Yep. I still got. I haven't used it in a very, 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 very long time, but I've still got.
I was actually looking that up because of you, and watching the tutorials and all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, wow, there's so much to dive into here just to be a beginner to use it. That it was, and I know, because there's regulation, and
Yes.
I agree that there should be. And I've decided that not to delve into it, but I have learned a lot. And so now I pay attention to when politicians say something like, "Oh, this spectrum needs to go." I was like, "Wait, wait, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. No, that's the family radio frequency for the little handhelds." And or no, that's the ham radio frequencies, and so on. It's like, no, that stuff needs to be left alone. That stuff's important. And I now have a greater appreciation of why it's important too.
Yeah.
So, thank you for that.
Nate, no worries. There. Yeah. Radio frequency spectrum is a really difficult thing to try to figure out who's got what priority over whom. Back the World War II era, the government wanted to keep the ultra low frequencies to themselves, and they relegated those much higher frequencies to the amateur radio guys because, at the time with the technology, who in the hell needs to know how to do any of that stuff? It's untenable technology. Nobody's going to be able to work it right. We need the ultra low frequencies so that it'll bounce around the atmosphere and come down so that ships can get signals back and forth by, reflecting off of the ionosphere, which admittedly, I mean, you can pick that stuff up easily enough these days. AM radio broadcast here in the US is give or take centered on the 1,000 kilohertz, the 1 megahertz frequency area. So, on either side of that. So at 500, roughly 500 kilohertz up to 1,700 kilohertz or 1.7 megahertz. And in that frequency band, it doesn't have to be AM radio, it can be FM. You can pick up radio signals from all over the place when the sun starts to go down, especially now in the wintertime. So if anybody wants to, play around with that kind of thing, more than happy to tell you guys about it, because it's freaking magical. It really is.
What's really fun is, for me, is even though, since I don't have a license, I can't broadcast, right?
Transmit. You can't.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I know the key.
All right.
I'm going to screw up the keywords all the time because I'm not that good.
No, that's okay.
I can't transmit.
Right. Now, I want to make sure that I explain this one, because there is a really distinct difference in terminology that's used, because people can get into trouble for exactly this thing. And by trouble, I mean like tens of thousands of dollars in fines. In parlance with radio transceivers, transmitting is broadcasting is transmitting, but transmitting is not necessarily broadcasting. Transmitting is literally, I send out a message, I stop so that I can listen, and somebody talks back to me. The same way that you would do it with a walkie-talkie. You're not broadcasting, you're transmitting theoretically to someone. You might be transmitting out there and saying, hey, is anybody out there that can hear me? Technically, that's a broadcast because it's not directed at an individual, but you're looking for someone. Versus what is considered a broadcast is exactly the same thing that you would hear it used in the terms of like television broadcast, radio broadcast. It's just going out there with no care as to who's picking it up. You're hoping somebody does, but doesn't really much matter. You do something like that and you're constantly transmitting and broadcasting on a ham radio frequency, amateur radio frequencies, the FCC doesn't like that. So there's only a handful of times where you can kind of get away with doing that, but it's very, very, very tightly regulated to things like NASA broadcasts. They used to be able to retransmit the launches of the space shuttle, for instance, so that everybody could hear it, if I remember what that was. So there are times where you can hear this stuff, but it's very, very, very rare for it to have happen on the ham bands. Now that I've bored everybody with the minutia of don't get yourself a multi-$1,000 fine, I'm sorry.
Oh, and for those who may think, oh, that would never happen to me, no, they're really good at triangulating your signal, by the way.
Yeah, and it's damned easy to do.
Oh, yeah.
There are actually games that ham radio folks do that's called a fox hunt, where somebody sets up a transmitter, a very low power transmitter, and it's set up specifically for exactly that, where teams get together and they're told, okay, somewhere in our town, our county, there's a fox. It's on this frequency. Go hunt it. And these guys are really good at it. And these are the amateurs.
Mm-hmm. I would rather have the amateurs do it than the professionals, because at least the amateurs would find me fast and before the FCC would.
And that's usually what ends up happening, believe it or
Yeah.
not,
Get
because
a little
they
knock on your door, going, "Hey, man, you're gonna get fined if you keep this up."
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's literally exactly what ended up happening with one of the guys that I knew back on Long Island. He had an accidental short in a microphone and didn't realize what was going on. And one of the other guys, older guys in the group, knocked on his door and is just like, uh, hey, Tom, I'm just gonna Tom, Dick, and Harry, Tom, hey, listen, do you hear this? And he held up his mic, his radio, and tuned it into the frequency that his stuff was on. It's just like, yeah, what's that? That's your equipment. Can we go down with you and check and see what's going on? What are you talking about? I'm not transmitting. And they go down there and they switch off the power to his thing, and all of a sudden, oh, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Let's fix that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
yeah, so
But
they
one of the
they found it.
one of
So,
the fun one of the fun things to do is if you get your hands on like one of these relatively inexpensive, like a Baofeng that's constantly on sale on YouTube, or not YouTube, Amazon or whatever, is even though you can't transmit, you can listen, right?
scanners, yeah.
And it is really fun to tune in to like the bands of the truckers and listen to them bitch and moan about the traffic and everything else. I was like, wow, man, they got away with saying that kind of stuff. It's like, granted, it's a different band, but
Yeah.
a
Citizens
lot
Band.
of yeah, but a lot of those can actually, a lot of those models actually can tune into the CB's bands, the Citizen band. And I know I'm saying CB band, and it's redundant as saying it's ATM machine when the M means machine as well.
No,
But
no, calling it Citizens Band or CB
yeah,
would be accurate.
no, but I said CB band when B already means band, is like saying ATM when M already, or saying ATM machine when M in ATM means machine. That's all I was saying. The department, the redundant department of redundancies approve. Anyway, it's fun listening to the CB, uh, uh, the
Chatter.
people on the CB. Yeah, all the back and forth chatter, depending on what time of year it is, whether it's the holidays or not, because a lot of the truckers out there are doing like the holiday runs. Whether you're in a highly populated area, maybe you're in the mountains, you're picking up different stuff all over the place. And I had, as a kid, I had a radio that had the crystals in it for, I think it was channel 18 or 17 on the Citizens band. I can't remember. And there was a toggle between two bands. It was either 16 and 17 or 17 18. And because of where I lived, there were a lot of truckers in the mountainous areas, and their signals would easily hit my house area where I lived. And so I'd listen to these guys on the day that I was just bored. It was so entertaining, man,
Oh
as a
yeah.
kid to listen to this, learn the lingo, like what's a county mountie? I had, and you don't have a computer to look this stuff up, so it's like, Mom, Dad, what's a county mountie? I don't know. It's like you start going around. Eventually, I remembered it, and I was talking to the local sheriff, and he goes, "Where'd you hear that?" I said, "Well, I heard it on the radio." "What radio?" So I told him about the radio I had. He goes, "Do you talk on that?" I said, "No, I don't talk on it. I just listen." "What'd they say about the Mounties?" I said, "Well, sometimes they say this, sometimes they say that, sometimes they say bad words." He's like, "Really? You know why they're saying that?" "Why?" "Because I pulled them over."
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so good times, man.
Yeah.
It is fun.
Now here's the wild part about it. Citizens Band radios in the U.S. and in Canada. I don't remember how much they are used in Canada. I think they've got a reciprocal agreement for exactly that. And I don't know if they're used elsewhere. Like, for instance, I don't know in Europe because, well, according to the actual international agreements, any transmitter under 30 megahertz, if I remember correctly, is supposed to be licensed by the government. Which is why ham radio operators who have, well, they have the ability of using radios that allow them to transmit well below 30 megahertz. That was considered like the threshold of what would bounce versus what wouldn't bounce. Well, funny thing that citizens band radios transmit around 27, 28, 29 megahertz. And nobody is doing licensing for those since the mid 70s when there was the big CB radio explosion, and basically nobody filled in the card that said, yeah, I'd like an FCC license, please. So the FCC basically just threw their hands up at the whole damn thing. They're just like, well, screw it. It doesn't matter anymore. All right. Just everybody, just keep your radios under, at a maximum of 4 watts of power, please. No. I mean, they're officially rated up to and sold up to, but it's pretty easy to change them out a little bit.
Yep, I used to work with a guy in the antiques field who used to be a trucker, and his radio was actually he was an old timer, so his radio ran on vacuum tubes. He had his radio custom built by a ham radio enthusiast, and he had enough power that he could keep his seat warm. He had enough power that he could burn out other people's radios.
I can believe that.
Back in the day.
I can believe that.
And he had a reputation. If he was at a truck stop or a rest area, whatever, and some guy was spouting off on the radio, every once in a while somebody would say, "Hey," and call his nickname and say, "Hey man, can you shut this guy down?" And so he'd send out a warning to all the other guys, turn them off. And of course, the other guy who was spouting off, wouldn't listen. And so he'd give a countdown. And after 1, before he got to 0, he'd turn it all the way up. He'd hit the transmit button. And he said a few seconds later, you'd see some guy rolling down his windows because smoke was coming out of his truck.
Yep.
And if people don't believe that, if you ask any of the old timers who remember when radios ran on vacuum tubes and stuff, you just ask them if that's possible. And if they know their stuff, they'll back me up on this.
Oh yeah.
And remember, I said that his was big enough and powerful enough to actually act as a seat warmer. That's a lot of heat put out by those vacuum tubes.
Yes, it is.
Hi, guys.
And yes, he did actually get in trouble with the FCC at one point.
Oh yeah, can't imagine why. Hi, Io. How the hell are you?
I'm doing okay. We're about to hit the highway, and you guys are in my ears, so Black can't hear you.
Just remember, if you're hitting the highway, don't use a wooden stick. They shatter. Try something more durable, like a solid steel rod. Remember, folks, this is satire. Do not take advice from a podcast.
Well, it depends on what advice it is, and that's not advice to take. Whee! Zoom, zoom, zoom.
There's that. So Stephanie says hi.
Hi, Stephanie. And anybody else in the chat? No, I can't see it. I'm using my phone. I don't have the ability to see 2 screens at once, so sorry.
That's all right.
Lo siento, je suis désolé.
Now that I think about it, there is one kind of podcast that I would actually listen to and take advice from, and that's the Legal Eagle. You ever listen to that guy? He's an actual lawyer, and he even points out that you need to talk. When he talks about something, he talks about into reference. He'll say, with regards to the law written for such and such area or so on, this applies, this doesn't apply, and so on. And then he'll even point out that if you're worried about this, consult a lawyer in your area. So he even does that. He's really good to listen to. I highly recommend his channel.
Yeah. Which then brings up the question, Io, did you ever see the movie My Cousin Vinny?
Oh God.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember for it is the short that's on YouTube about the woman basically destroying, I think it's the defense, could be the whatever, about basically destroying them about the tires and what cars had what.
Yeah.
So I remember.
Her abilities as a professional were being questioned. Her bona fides were being questioned, as it were, and so they gave her a test to see whether or not she actually knew what the hell she was talking about.
And she knew her shit.
She wiped the floor with them. It was really funny, the expression on the judge's face when he was just like, whoa.
Yeah. The judge, played by Fred Gwynne, most people would remember him from earlier work back in Black and White. Car 54, Where Are You? That's right, that was him. Or maybe you might remember him as Herman Munster.
Mm-hmm.
Same guy.
He's such a good actor.
Yeah.
Well, he was such a good actor.
Was.
I don't think he's alive anymore.
Yeah, and the Legal Eagle guy, you know what? I don't even remember what his real name is. Anyway, he did a breakdown for judging how good My Cousin Vinny was from the perspective of a lawyer watching somebody show off how law works in a court and everything. And he's just like, this is great. This is great. This is how it's supposed to work. I love it.
He pointed out that out of all the movies he had, I believe he said something to the effect of that out of all the movies he's seen that has courtroom stuff going on, My Cousin Vinny was the one that was closest to truth.
Yeah.
Or fact in terms of like the lawyer getting thrown in prison for contempt and asking for the records and getting boxes and boxes of files and shit. And the way he dressed when he wore that one red suit. Oh my God. When I saw that red suit, I was like, oh my God, he's going to get contempt again. And he's like, he did.
Yeah, it was good. That was good.
That is a great movie.
By the way, you might have recognized the previous week's Horrible Scopes had a direct ripoff of a quote from the movie. So you might want to go check back on those sometime, folks, and take a look because you missed on that.
Speaking of missed opportunities, Black Friday was the perfect day to watch the movie Black Friday with Bruce Campbell. It's a comedy movie. It's relatively new. It didn't come out this year. It came out.
Hey, you said the two perfect words, Bruce and Campbell.
Yes, I'm also a fan of the Psycho Sticks song, Bruce Campbell. I also love the interview when when the radio jockey was like, you kind of basically pointed out that he kind of brushed him off, and Bruce is like, yeah, well, lots going on at these conventions. I don't have the time to really do this. Plus, you got everybody. And they had him play the song and listen to it and goes, yeah, it's a great song. They're creative, and that's the way it should be. So he gave him Psycho Stick a lot of props and during that interview. But the movie is Bruce Campbell. I think he's the general manager of the store, and they're tearing up for Black Friday sales, but in the meantime, the world is like having an apocalypse. Oh, it's absolutely hilarious, man. It's so he brings a lot of um, Army of Darkness kind of humor to it and everything else.
Is it like a prequel to Army of Darkness?
No, you're thinking of Evil Dead.
Okay.
Yeah, and not the horrible remake. If it doesn't have Bruce Campbell in it, it's not Evil Dead. Sorry. That's my opinion.
I will also tag onto that. If it doesn't have Bruce Campbell as the star, if memory serves, there was a remake where all of a sudden he had like a brief cameo at the very end in the shadows. That still does not count. Just because Bruce is in there doesn't mean it counts.
Right. So, no, Black Friday is literally, it's a modern day movie. It's not related to Army of Darkness or Evil Dead, but it brings those vibes to it. But he's very timid. His character originally is very timid, very sales oriented. He does a very good job of playing a certain type of general manager, store manager that many people who have worked in the retail field will come recognize instantly. And but his character grows a bit and grows a pair, as the saying goes. And but so do the other characters. Like there's a young lady in there who's badass too. Um, so it's a great movie to watch on Black Friday. Um, just like Planes, Trains, and Automobile, watching that on Thanksgiving or any time before Christmas for that matter, um, or Die Hard.
That's
I can see the Black Friday movie becoming a Black Friday cult classic.
Trains, Planes, and Automobiles and Die Hard. They are Christmas movies, especially Die Hard. Come on, it's not Christmas until Hans Gruberman falls from the tower.
Yeah, there you in the show notes. Yeah, or you put the right. Yeah, 2021, and I even love the fact that when they made the movie and they put the credits up there, they didn't put Bruce Campbell first. I don't know if it was him requesting that or what, but they gave the other names some recognition as well by putting them before him. Because us Bruce Campbell fans, we know we don't care where on the poster his name is. We see his face and we know. Period.
Mm-hmm. Bubba Hotep, where he goes after a mummy, and he's Elvis at a retirement home.
Mm-hmm.
That had me pissing myself laughing. And I don't do horror movies that well, but Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, I will say I was not a fan of Cave Alien, but that's just me.
So I was at a second Thanksgiving with a friend. We were supposed to have gone there with the wife at a restaurant, of course, because nobody really wants to cook. The poor wife is dealing with kidney issues. I'm not sure if it's kidney cancer or just whatever. Her dialysis made her feel really bad, so she couldn't join us. So that's where I was, having some fun shooting the shit with a friend.
Very cool. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the trivia for Black Friday. The director has stated that the film was based on an unused script from 1994 for The Power Rangers.
That's freaking hilarious. That explains so much about the movie and the way the characters are behaving now. Doesn't
it?
That's oh god. For those who have not seen this movie, please go watch this movie.
That's freaking hysterical.
It explains the fight scenes and everything so much better, especially the villains. Oh god.
King of Thieves and Xena. Bruce Campbell, you're my love.
I am the Prince of Thieves.
King of Thieves.
I could have sworn he said Prince.
Prince, King, whatever.
It's
Nobody was
Bruce.
better than he was.
He can take whatever whatever honorific he wants, man. He can have it.
Otacles, that was his name?
I don't remember.
Okay, so first off, you were right. I was wrong. It was the King of Thieves. And I can't say his name properly right now because I can't hear it in my head. Autolycus,
Yeah,
I think.
Autolycus, whatever.
So it's spelled Autollycus, Autolycus, I think.
Yeah.
But he was both on Hercules: The Legendary Journeys, which I used to watch before I realized what's his face was a complete a-hole, and Xena Warrior Princess. And he, honestly, whenever Bruce came on as the King of Thieves, I love that episode. It didn't matter what it was. If Bruce Campbell was in there doing his thieving stuff, it was hilarious.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, it was.
And you're right, Stephanie. Looking over in the chat, referring back to my cousin Vinny, referring to the young lady who was
Marissa Torme.
Yeah, Marissa Torme, where Stephanie points out, do not judge by appearances. The lady, we're talking about Miss Torme, dressed like an airhead, but had such a depth of knowledge that she silenced everyone in the court. And one of the things is that in real life, she's also incredibly smart. And it takes smart people to play the dumbest roles.
Oh God, yeah.
Like for example, like Rhonda on USA Up All Night on that television series, the late night television series, where she would host the show and do little intros and such. She always acted like an airhead, but if you really paid attention to the things that she said, especially certain jokes and so on, her intelligence bled through.
Oh yeah.
And she was incredibly smart. And it takes the people like that to do that.
Yeah. It's also been very widely explained to people who just don't appreciate it as much. Do you have any idea how intelligent Betty White was to be able to do the dits that she did for Gracie Allen to portray such the dits and yet have such incredible depth of brilliance when you finally decomposed all the stuff that she was saying that sounded like it was just so stupid. One of my best things that Gracie Allen did on the radio. Somebody had come over to her house because she had these cats that were supposed to be in the yard for them. She was asked, well, what's your methodology for raising cats? You know, asking the question of, how do you rear them? How do you have them grow as creatures from infancy through into their, full age adulthood, so to speak? And she said, well, it's easy. I just put my hands around their middle and lift. It sounds like it's such a ditz maneuver, but it takes a couple of moments for it to finally settle in of, wait, what just happened? Oh, well, yes, but, wait. She was amazing. She was absolutely amazing.
And in her later years, when she did that, those comedy bits where she would go around and mess with younger people, gags and such like that. The effort and time she put into it, how she portrayed, like a frail old woman and all that. When we all knew who knew her, how really capable she really was. And the stunts and tricks she would pull on people were just absolutely hilariously funny. Oh, Lexa
Nobody
Black. Hi,
expects.
welcome to the show.
Oh, what?
We have somebody else in chat, Lexa Black, commenting on Bruce Campbell, the Hail to the King, Briscoe County Jr. and all that. Yep.
See you over there.
You know, if you think about it, this is actually something that was told to me. Once you become a white-haired old lady, nobody pays attention to you.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, you do that at your own peril.
I pay attention to old people, if for no other reason than they have lived long enough that age, wisdom, and cunning can trump youth and enthusiasm any day. And they have lived long enough to see some shit. Doesn't mean that they're a good person, but be warned, they survive things. And there's something to be learned there.
And they get to do stuff. I'm not sure if it's steel magnolias or fried green tomatoes. Let's face it, I'm older and I have more insurance.
Yep. And I'm going to get away with this one, and I'm going to relift the hat just for a second to remind everybody what I look like currently. Tech, I got bad news for you. We are now those old people.
Mm-hmm. Not yet. I haven't hit 50 yet.
Nope.
See, in my opinion, you're not over the hill until you hit 51, because at that point you've peaked at 50. Now you're going down.
See these hands? See these hands? How many fingers?
55.
That's right.
Yeah. But I haven't hit that yet.
I don't believe you, but I say that only because I want you to be older than me, and fuck you that you're not. So there you go.
I'm an old soul.
Fuck
and I'm
you.
in between you two? Fuck me.
I mean, I don't know
Wait
that
a minute.
I don't know that you two appreciate that, but I mean,
I think we have to flag the show. I think I've heard the F-bomb 3 times so far.
I don't think it really much matters right now.
Well, we're not monetizing this, are we? Yeah, the expression on your face tells me everything I need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would have to have a bigger audience in order to monetize.
Is that true? Or
yes.
Is it?
Yeah, that is part of it. Yeah,
okay.
we've got.
I thought anybody could monetize even if you only have like one regular viewer.
No.
It tells you how much I've read into YouTube.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's like 10,000 or something, and I have not even. No.
I am such a boring person that there is nothing I could do that would get 10,000 views. You know, I could do the Truffle Shuffle from Goonies, and I still wouldn't get 10,000 views.
There is somebody who does videos of him just smoking a pipe. The whole thing of setting up the pipe, getting it packed in, lighting it up, and just sitting and just casually puffing away. And they get noticed. So don't say that you can't.
Yeah, that's still more interesting than me.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. See?
Burn.
There's a guy that intentionally carbonates Jägermeister.
Hey, now I've watched is it Big Clive dot whatever?
Whatever.
But yeah, I've watched Clive's videos. He's interesting. Even when he's just taking something apart that's made in China and showing how bloody dangerous it is.
He's even interesting when he unintentionally paints his ceilings with whatever it was that he unscrewed out of his carbonation machine.
Yeah, that was a red wine. I love when he carbonated Bailey's Irish. I think it was Bailey's Irish Cream.
Yeah, that one did happen.
One of the cream beverages he carbonated, and it turned essentially into a custard. And I was looking at that going, I want to try that because first off, I like custards. And two, I happen to like cream-based beverages. This could actually be a good thing. The hardest part would be getting everything out of the bottle without breaking the bottle. This is cool.
Yeah.
But the look on his face as it's just plopping on the floor, he looks down, that was not scripted. And he was just like perplexed as to what the hell's going on. That's the thing. He gives, it's not an act with him. That's real. For me, it would be harder for me to be that realistic without coming across as fake. Because I've had people tell me that when I was laughing at something, they're like, dude, you're trying too hard. I was like, no, I seriously find that hilarious, and here's why. And after the explanation, they're like, oh, that makes sense. But none of us here thought of that. So,
Yeah.
I end up looking a lot. If I'm not laughing at something, they're all laughing, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like, you're faking it right now, right? And it's like, no, I'm not faking. I seriously don't get it. And I'm like, how can you not get this? So, sadly, there's a lot of scenarios where I come across as being fake when I'm not being fake. And honestly, I think that would absolutely destroy any YouTube career I have. That's why I don't even do video for this show anymore. I just that, and if I fall asleep.
It's fair.
Nobody.
So
I seriously doubt anybody would watch if I had a channel of just me sleeping in a chair. I wouldn't get 10,000 views.
yeah, you never know. So we've been driving down the highway going way too fast, and I normally keep a stuffed animal on the middle of my dash when we're driving, and we hit a curb so fast that she slid over onto the driver's side and almost right off the dash.
Mm.
Yeah, gotta love highways.
By the way, you're out of focus, Shujin.
I see that now, and I do not know why.
I'm wondering if it's maybe your boom.
No, because there is nothing that is focusing.
It's
Are you?
something close. It's something close up.
I do not know why. How curious.
That is.
Well, let's see what we can do.
Blurry.
Yes, thank you. Focus on
It's a
Still
lunar
blurry.
guard. Wait, is it a guard against Luna, or is it Luna's guard?
one of Luna's guards.
Okay, I happen to kind of think Luna's cool.
And you'd be right.
Yeah, she's cool.
When was the last time you cleaned your lens? I'm not saying the lens is dirty, causing the blurriness, but it might be focusing on a speck or something.
Well, considering that we started the show and I was fine, I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm going to try something. Because if something is broken, what better way of trying to get it fixed than to put something in front of it?
Yeah, see, that's actually in focus.
Yeah. That would be the nice guys from Car Talk from once upon a time ago. And now we're refocused.
Nice.
Yes.
Although I love the parody of Star Talk with Darmok, I think it is, or Trek Talk with Darmok, or something like that.
So, Tech, guess what happened yesterday?
It's a Klingon. Yeah. So yesterday the sun came up and then it went down again.
Dalan got me to do a spit take.
Congratulations. Now you need a new keyboard.
Yeah, new monitor.
Now you can clean it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that. We do have to see about getting ourselves out of here very shortly. But
Lexa Black, that's okay to lurk. A lot of people lurk the show. Don't worry about it.
well, we'd like there to be a lot of people lurking the show. That's cool. We like that.
Yes.
We
And
appreciate
by
that.
the way, Burn Notice with Bruce Campbell, whenever he was, every time he was on, was fantastic. I loved his character on Burn Notice.
And come back next week for more chaos from us.
Yes. I've got so many CDs over here next to me. And I've got them all ripped into my server.
Oh, and one of the, in my opinion, the absolute best commercial for Old Spice was the one with Bruce Campbell.
Which one?
The very first one, where it was, I think it was the very first one. The first one where it was about experience. If you have it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't have it.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Give it and everything. And he's talking about, and it's all talking about the word experience, but there's I'll put it in the host chat. There is, or I'll put it in the show notes, I should say. There is one YouTube video where it's all three of his Old Spice commercials back to back. But yeah, it's experience is everything, and it's the first one of the three. I remember watching it and seeing it on TV, and I'm watching this going, dude, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
They need to have him do more Old Spice commercials. It's time for Animaniacs.
Yes, one of the CDs that I've got over here is the old Animaniacs song collection.
Well, if it wasn't for Animaniacs, I would have failed my government test in high school on the presidency of the United States because I couldn't remember. I have one of my failings in life is remembering names, but putting it to music, I was able to remember most of the names and definitely the sequence, and most of the dates came natural after that. So
The
I got a barely passing grade for that test.
the
Thanks to the
Animaniacs
Animaniacs.
the Animaniacs got me a free Klondike bar. I went up to the Klondike people that were handing them out for free, but you had to do something. And I said, I can sing the countries of the world. Oh, yeah? Yeah. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru. And they had me stop about there. And they just handed it to me. And I went,
Yeah, my sister got a free Big Mac back when McDonald's used to do the whole thing of if you can do
to
all
all
the
beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, sesame
yeah
seed, prawn, Big Mac. Yeah,
yeah
I got
if
one too.
yeah I couldn't do it at the time, so I didn't get a free Big Mac. Then again, I wasn't into Big Macs back then, so mine was just a simple cheeseburger, no ketchup, no mustard, um, pickle, add onion because they didn't add onions on the kids meal version back then.
So I got two things really quickly then. Topping my stack, my tower of CD cases is something that, Tech, you can laugh and you can say what it is. Just let's keep it short. I have one of these.
Nice.
I have
I'm
a
not gonna laugh at that.
big
I
fat.
bought my significant other the pro version of that kit because they actually do uh, disassembly of all sorts of electronics.
My big
And
fat iFixit kit.
yeah,
I got the big
no,
one.
dude, that's the pro version right there.
Yeah.
Um, that's actually a really good kit. Seriously, folks, the quality of the screwdrivers and screwdriver bits aren't at the level that I prefer. I prefer the truly top-notch stuff that's not going to um, warp and things like that. But then again, if you're putting the kind of effort that warps them, you're probably tightening something down too tight on the screws, and you're going to strip something in the plastic. But as far as disassembly kits go, or electronic repair kits go, the iFixit Pro kit is probably about as complete as you're going to get for as if you can get it when it's on sale, it's a steal. Even if it's just $30 off, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not going to laugh at that because that is a well-designed kit.
Yeah. If I remember right, I think it was about $70 when I bought it. If you can get the Pro kit at like $50, yeah, it's worth. It's worth. Are you going to use everything that's inside of it? Hell no. And good. Is that a waste because you bought a whole bunch of extra stuff that you don't need? No. Because the likelihood is
When you
something's...
need it, you won't have it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like flashlights. I'm a big flashlight geek slash nerd. I'm part of many flashlight forums and so on. I'm not the uber geek or uber nerd of them. I cannot claim that crown. I will never be able to claim that crown. But I always have a flashlight on me, and people joke, but my office had an outage one time, and it was during the dark days like this. And we were in a section of the building where there are no windows and there's no emergency lighting because it's such an old building. and we were in the complete dark. I had 2 flashlights on me, a little tiny pocket light, and in my bag, I had a big behemoth of a light that ran on lithium ion 18650 batteries, which are high capacity lithium ion batteries. It ran on 4 of them. That's how big, yeah, the big boy. And I used my little light to go through my bag, get it out. I set the settings on it before I even turned it on. I faced it directly up at the ceiling, turned it on, put it on a tail stand, and you could see everywhere in our office. And everybody went, "What the hell's that?" And so everybody flooded my desk going, what is that? Where'd you get that? What brand is that? How do you know about these things? And I had it on one level below the highest, brightest setting, because at that point it gets real hot. You can cook an egg on it. And that was on for 2.5 hours. The only reason it wasn't on longer than that is because eventually the power came back on. But in the meantime, people had their laptops which had internal batteries. The network was obviously down, so they were only doing local work. But, at that point, everybody stopped laughing at me.
There you go.
Yeah. One of the places that I lived at, we were the only people that had light because we had a whole bunch of candles and other stuff that we usually take to camping trips, and we just lit up our entire place. And people were coming out of their apartments going, "Why do you have light? We're in a blackout." I just know how to use my candles right. As for flashlights, I've got at least 3 UV flashlights, 1 taser flashlight. Black has a taser flashlight as well. Mag lights, this flashlight, that flashlight, flashlights that magnetic to this, that. I can't go 10 feet in this house without finding 2 or more flashlights. I'm sitting here in the office, and I know that there's at least 5 flashlights around me. Where? I don't know, but I know that they're here.
That's a good start.
Yeah, that's good. We do have to get on out of here, but I'm going to give the other guys their couple of moments to finish off with. I'm going to finish off with 2 small things. One, I probably mentioned this already. Over at work, I had a cookbook come through from Buca de Beppo. For those of you that don't know about it, it is a wonderful restaurant. If you've never been to, I highly recommend it, preferably with at least 2 other people with you. And one of the recipes that they had in there was for lasagna. They specifically labeled it as lasagna casserole, because under technicality, lasagna is a casserole. Pasta is effectively made from flour and milk. It is bread. A lasagna is made of alternating layers of pasta and cheese and meat and veggies. A Big Mac is lasagna. Have fun dissecting the logic here. Tech, what last item you got before we get out of here quick?
Well, we just had Thanksgiving, and contacted family, friends, told them I'm thankful for them, love them, everything that's appropriate. I'm also thankful for the people who come to visit our show. Thanks for watching, whether you're live, tune in later, watch it, long time down the road, whatever. Thanks for, being with us for a little bit, even if you're not here, like I said, live. So, and for those that show up for the live event, hey, thank you too. And for the people in chat who contribute, thank you. And even our trolls, because there is a certain livelihood to trolls as well. Even if we have to boot them because they've gone overboard, it's still, it adds it's like a good stew, you know. Sometimes it might have things in it that you don't like, but it adds to the flavor.
Here, here.
That's all. I'm done. I didn't want to do. My plan for the show tonight was for me not to really dwell on anything negative. You know, try
That's
to
fair.
put try to put a little fun conversation out there.
That's fair. And Io, what?
Oh, there is one thing I do want to say. We are in the fall. We are in the winter. Um, folks, please, 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 please check the batteries in your flashlights. If you have to go out when the sun is down, do carry a flashlight with you. Put it by your door and one in your garage, because you never know when there's going to be a power outage. We are in long-term darkness uh, during even our active periods, and it's cold and everything else. So make sure your blankets are good to go, and have an exit strategy if something goes wrong in a house. You know, make sure that you're talking with your neighbors. You know, get to know them, because you never know when they might be able to help you or you might be able to help them. All right. Keep up putting good stuff out there instead of bad stuff as much as you can. That's it.
And Io, what last you got?
Well, yeah, I'm thankful that you brought me in on this. I'm thankful for the audience that keeps on showing up week to week. The one thing I'm not thankful for is my family situation, because finding out this week that my grandmother died back in October, yeah, sure, give me a nice big kick in the pants. But I am thankful that my other granny taught me how to knit, because I finished my second pair of socks in a month. So I get to have nice warm socks to wear, nice warm lacy socks. And I get to show them off.
That's very cool.
And you get to wear that scarf that hopefully won't strangle you in the high winds out there.
Not a word.
Enjoy it. And does Tiny want something from me? Her crazy aunt?
I don't expect so at the moment, but I can double check. Meantime, the best I can do is just echo what everybody else has said. When I got this podcast started years ago now, I was not expecting to be one of the bigs out there. I knew it wasn't gonna end up happening. And I'm not saying that because I'm a downer. It's just that, you know, I don't put in the amount of effort that it would take to do that. I don't have that in me. I have enough to get by. And I'm really glad to be able to do these things. And Stephanie had also put in over here. This has been a lovely laid back show, just what we need right now. Considering some of the stuff that I've seen and had to try to find my way through, yeah, this very much did not go the way that I was afraid it might have. I'm so glad we had this time together. And I'm not going to sing the line, but if you recognize the expression, cool. So, Stephanie, thank you ever so much. Lexa, it's greatly appreciated. I hope that the week ahead goes kindly for you and that the weather is not harsh. To borrow from someone else, may the wind be at our backs. So as always, everybody, thank you for being with us. We hope that you found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives, and you got stuff to think about for the week ahead. Io, thank you very kindly. You get home safely, and I hope
Oh, I'm
again.
already at home. I'm already at home. Can't you see that I'm chatting in the chat?
No, no, I
I,
can't.
I I started chatting in the chat. I got home. I'm
Oh,
sitting at the big computer where I broadcast from. Oh yeah,
okay.
that's what I'm thankful for. I have somebody that can drive the highways for me and understands my absolute terror of them and doesn't make a fuss if I say, you drive. I'm so thankful that they're very good at what they do.
Fair enough. Thank you. Nothing. Not. You're welcome. Piss off. Okay.
I had my
Deliet.
microphone. I'm sorry, my microphone was muted. I apologize.
No,
No, I went and said something in the chat just to show that, yes, I'm at home.
that's fine.
So I've said 3 things in the chat and you ignored it.
I didn't
Oh,
ignore
oh.
it. I didn't know if you had suddenly found a way that, oh, cool, I can whatever.
No, no, I can't do that. My poor little phone would probably just go, what the hell are you doing? And I disconnect. But no,
Okay.
I'm at home. I'm sitting at the big computer and I'm currently about to finish a comment on Reddit about yarn. Yes, I'm a yarny.
Nothing wrong with that. And Tech,
Yes, sir. Fun being here.
thank you.
Thank you.
And again, all of you out there, thank you for finding what we do worth checking out. That means a lot. I will continue to do the show, like I've said, so long as it's fun. For me right now, it still is. And if we're going to pass along one more thank you in general, I will pass along a thank you to Atheists on Air, Cash, and Professor Steven. You guys don't tune in to us anymore. You haven't been doing the show in a very long time, and for good reason. But damn it, Cash. Just thank you, man. You stay safe. You stay strong. And as tough as it is for me to say it, you're loved. And you're appreciated, man. Just thank you. So with that, we call it a night. If you'd like to be in touch with us, of course, easiest way is either on Facebook or Discord. Links are available over in the show notes. You can also hit me up over on BlueSky. Yes, I'm touting that as much as I can because now that it is turned over to December 1, I will no longer be posting to any of my accounts over there. I'm going to be slowly migrating them over. And thank you all for being with us. Be looking forward to seeing you again real soon. So, as always, until the next time we're together, everyone, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And of course, my lady, I know it wasn't exactly the biggest of Thanksgiving dinners, and yeah, we kind of missed out on doing it this week. But you know what? I am still in love. Wow. Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. You dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone, as always, good night.